So that's it. Your exam is tomorrow and you haven't even opened your textbook yet. If you have less than 24 hours to save your grades, this video is for you. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Karina. Welcome to my channel where I share study hacks, productivity tips, and practical frameworks to help you to elevate your life through education. I used to rationalize the way that I was constantly procrastinating to study for an exam until the very last minute by telling myself that staying up all night would help me to get better grades because the material would be fresher in my mind, so I could cram for an exam the night before. But that's wrong because lack of sleep leads to fatigue, poor concentration, and lower grades. I'm gonna go through my secret last-minute study tips from one procrastinator to another. So if you procrastinated studying into the very last minute, this is your chance to cram for your exam the right way so you can save your grades and your sanity with 6 simple steps. Step number 1, know what to study. If you don't have a course syllabus with all the things that you're going to be tested on your exam, you can go to the beginning of each chapter of your textbook where they usually have an outline of what you're going to learn in the chapter. And you can use it as a guide to have an idea of what you need to study for your exam. Once you know what you need to study, use the 80-20 rule to make sure that you're studying what is most important in the chapter first, before moving to the other parts. Because according to the 80-20 rule, 80% of the results comes from 20% of your efforts. And that means that you should focus on studying the most relevant and core topics first, before niching down to the details that are much less likely to appear in your exam in any significant way. For example, let's say that you're studying for a math exam. Instead of trying to memorize every single formula on your textbook, you should focus on the most important ones that are most likely to appear on your exam first. And once you have the most important formulas nailed down and you know how to use them, then you can move on to the more specific formulas. This will save you time and help you to retain the most important information that you need to master a subject. Step number 2, study past exam papers. If you haven't even opened your textbook yet, then you definitely don't have enough time to review all the material before your exam. So don't even try to spend your precious time trying to read your entire textbook before your exam. Instead, before you do anything, the first thing you're gonna do is to dive straight into past exam papers, even if you have no idea about how to answer any of those questions. And that's because when you start studying with past exam papers, you will expose your brain to the gap in your knowledge and prime your brain to look for answers in your memory from your textbooks, from your lectures, and from your notes on how to solve the questions that you're going to be tested on. So first, try to answer the exam question to the best of your ability. Then compare your answers to the answer key. And if you don't have an answer key, then you can go through your notes, lectures, or your textbook to try to find an answer for it. Most likely, your professor uses very similar questions in all their exams. So if you're testing your knowledge with past exam papers, you're also going to be getting familiar with the exam format while also proactively preparing for your exam and identifying areas where you need additional study. And if you have more time to practice, you can also go to the end of each chapter on your textbook and try to answer those questions too. Step number 3, focus on your weak links. If you want to maximize your study time, instead of doing the easy work, focus on what you're weakest at first. And if you don't know what part of the subject that is for you, you can find that answer by asking yourself, what question would I be most scared of seeing on my exam? And use your answer as a guide for you to dive deeper into the topics that you are least confident about first by eating that frog. And eating that frog actually refers to a time management strategy that helps you to prioritize your tasks by focusing on the most important and difficult tasks, because most of the times, the things that you're avoiding the most are usually also the things that you need to do the most. Step number 4, create study notes, but probably not the way that you're used to doing it. Instead of copying down what you've studied from your lectures and your textbooks into your notes, you're going to use the full potential of your brain and learn more effectively with active study techniques to create a study summary of the most important things that you need to know for your exam with blurting. So the blurting method is a study technique where you write down everything that you can remember about a topic without looking at your notes or any other resources. This method helps you to test your knowledge, highlight the areas that you know well, and also those that you need to focus on. And this is how you're going to use the blurting method in 3 easy steps. First, you're going to blurt everything out. That means writing down everything that you know about the topic from memory. Step number 2, you're going to be comparing and correcting. That means that you're going to check your blurt against your notes, correct mistakes, and fill in the gaps of information. And step number 3, you're going to study what you missed. So focus on studying the information that you didn't remember well. And after that, you're gonna repeat and review to keep practicing the blurting method to reinforce your memory. But if you're really short in time and it's past midnight and you don't have the time to blurt down your notes, skip to the back of your textbook and read at least the chapter summary outlining all the key points from the chapter. Step number 5, you're gonna burn the midnight candle with short and intense study session. And that's because if you need to study past midnight, you're gonna be using primacy and recency in your favor with short and intense study sessions. So essentially, primacy and recency refers to our tendency to better remember the information that is presented either at the beginning or at the end of a study session. So what you want to do is to use primacy and recency to your advantage by taking breaks to create more beginning and ends, to remember more of what you studied using the Pomodoro technique, to break your study sessions into focused intervals of 25 minutes long, separated by a short 5-minute break. And by working in short, focused bursts followed by brief rest periods, the Pomodoro technique leverages our brain's natural rhythms to optimize productivity and concentration. And the next step is for memorizing things. Because if time is cutting short and you need to memorize things for your exam, use mnemonics as memory aids to help you remember information by associating it with something else. Mnemonics can take many forms, including acronyms, rhymes, visual images, and so much more. And that's because our brain processes information more effectively when it's presented with both verbal and visual formats. And mnemonics involve visualizing concepts, making them a powerful tool for memory retention. You can make mnemonics even stickier by relating the new information that you just learned to something that you already know. And the last bonus tip for your exam: when you actually receive your exam paper, you're gonna stop everything and just write everything down that you had memorized for your exam before doing anything else. And that's because our brains tend to forget information over time, following a specific forgetting curve, which means that after we initially learn something, we will gradually start to forget it over time. And since you were cramming for your exam, you didn't really have enough time to study with spaced repetition to take the information that you've learned from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. After all, we only remember about 44% of what we studied after just an hour from having learned it, and much less if it's been a long time past since our last revision. So as soon as your exam has started, in the first 5 minutes of your exam, you're gonna find some white space in your paper to dump everything that you have studied, specifically formulas and keywords, so you can refer back to them when you need it the most. I hope that incorporating these science-based study strategies into your learning process helps you to cram the night before an exam the right way. And if you use any other study techniques to help you to learn faster and more effectively, let me know in the comments, because I love to learn more ways to become a better learner. And your ideas might also help someone else too. Just remember that studying is such a personal thing. So find what works best for you and keep making small improvements to become a better learner. And don't leave it to the last minute. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more educational content and study tips. And if you'd like to supercharge your learning and earning potential with a degree from a top university, you can check out some resources I made available for you on the video description. And don't forget that the more you learn, the more you can achieve. So stay inspired, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video.